right, positive energy all the time. Good to see you all. Hope you're all having a great evening. Got a lot to talk about for sure. Yes, indeed. Make sure you take care of yourself. Health is wealth. So take care of yourself. Good to see you, Hawkeye. Good to see you, Quaylen. Good to see you, Rasta Man. Yes, indeed. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I got a crazy story this evening that I thought I would share over here on Vegan Intel. Welcome to all of the plant-based vegans that are coming to this new exciting series of live streams. All of the people that's into their health and trying to take care of themselves. All of the people that are having children and you're trying to figure out how to best take care of your children. Welcome. If you know people that's interested in health or needs to be interested in health, have them come over. We're going to have a lot of interviews on this channel. I'm going to be bringing over some of the most informative people concerning eating and health. It's going to be really exciting. Yeah, hit the notification bell, subscribe. Hawkeye, hit the notification bell. And eventually, if it doesn't work, next time you come over, do the same thing. You might have to unsubscribe and then subscribe again. Hit the notification bell. Sometimes people think they're subscribed, but they still got to hit that notification bell. And eventually you will get your notifications. I got a crazy story. A crazy story. Let's see if more people are going to come over before we get it going. I really do hope you're taking care of yourself, taking care of your health. I have been plant-based since 1978. Ooh. So I have been plant-based for 46 years, ever since I was 20 years old, a couple years out of high school. At that time, we just called it vegetarian. Do you know I became a vegetarian in 1978 and did not realize I was actually a vegan until probably like 1986 or 87. All the time we used to just say vegetarian, 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 vegetarian. But the thing was that back in those days, they had like little magazines and informative magazines. the spot was a health food store. So in all of the big cities in America and in some of the smaller cities back in the late 70s and through the 80s, if you wanted to eat right, there was not a lot, there weren't, I don't think, any vegan restaurants that I know of. And mostly uh, you spent time at health food stores. So the health food store was where it all began. Now you don't see health food stores too much. But yeah, in the 70s and in the 80s, the spot was the health food store. The health food store is where we had to go if we wanted to slowly transition over to eating better. And mostly they had a juice bar. They had a juice bar and lots of vitamins and things like that, right? And so they would have a juice bar and vitamins and things like that. And there wasn't a lot of plant-based products out yet in 78. So I would go to the juice bar and get like, they would juice, juice up me a juice. You pick what you want in your juice. One of my favorites was coconut and carrot. They called it the bunny hop. But you used to have to go to the health food stores. And it was hard back in those days, but mostly as far as transitioning, the transition was basic as far as um, what you were going to eat. The hardest thing was getting off of the stuff. Trying to get off of things was the hardest thing. Trying to clean it up and trying to get off of certain items was very difficult. So it took me a little while to finally get off of everything and to be what we would call a vegetarian. And they had all these pamphlets and stuff like that. So we were reading. So it was like, oh, maybe I should cut back on the dairy. Because, vegetarians do consume dairy. Vegetarians, they just don't eat meat. But vegetarians do eat other animal byproducts. So that's why I said I didn't realize I was a vegan because, I eliminated all animal byproducts. Because, we were starting to study and we were thinking that maybe this is not the healthiest route to go. So it was really hard. Uh, Slowly I got it down to fish and all of that. I had a process I did to finally get it down. My process wasn't as good as it is in my manual, Get the Easiest Way to Become a Vegan. Just go to www.veganintel.com and get the easiest way to become a vegan. And I wrote it down. It's very easy for you to do, and you're able to take your time. So even if you don't become a vegan, if you take step 1, step 2, step 3, you will still be eating healthier. Last thing I got off of was fish. It was hard. Oof, that was very difficult. But it was hard getting off stuff. Now, it wasn't that hard what we were going to eat instead, especially at home, because what? Our parents was right, black American parents, my parents, part of what? The Great Migration, which means here in Chicago, most of our parents came from Mississippi and Alabama, right? The people that lived in Georgia, they didn't necessarily come to Chicago and South Carolina and all that. They would go up to other cities. So Chicago was predominantly black Americans in the Great Migration from Mississippi and Alabama. So, of course, as a child, you know, our parents was cooking collard greens and mustard greens and cabbage and black eyed peas and corn on the cob and sweet potatoes and lima beans, right? So, all we had to do was just eliminate the meat and still eat all these hearty vegetables that we were raised on by our parents from the South. Good to see you, Aquarius. Glad you joined us. So, the hard part, it wasn't hard figuring out what to eat because, you know, growing up in the 60s, and you're 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, and your parents are from Alabama and they would cook your food. Your mom might make some cabbage and some corn on the cob and maybe some cornbread. She might make some chicken, you know. And so you got all these vegetables on this place and you got this chicken and you put your plate down and you get your chicken, you start eating and your mother say, put that chicken down and eat your vegetables, you know. And so they was really big on eat your vegetables. It was almost like the chicken or the pork chops or whatever was not really the meal. The meal was the vegetables, right? That was their attitude, was always put that meat down and eat your vegetables. They never said put those vegetables down and eat your meat. They always said put that meat down and eat your vegetables. Because they know, you know, we just gonna eat up the chicken. You know what I mean? They're like, And so growing up like that, you know, with your parents from the South, you know, you had your favorite vegetables. Oh boy, I love corn on the cob. And in those days, your mother would get these big pots and put them on the stove, and it might be 12 ears of corn. It's only my father, my mother, me, and my sister. It's only four of us, and my mother might make 12 ears of corn. Because I'm easily going to go through 3 ears of corn. I just loved corn, and it was so sweet, and it was so juicy, and I wish I can't get any of that food anymore. I can't get apples the way they used to be, the oranges. It's just, the food is not like it used to be, for lack of a better description. And so, you know, with the sweet potatoes and all that, you know, it was easy as far as cooking. It was hard. There was nowhere to eat out, so there was nowhere to eat out. There was one brother. His name was Brother Tim. He had like a veggie burger or something. We would go there, but there was nowhere to eat out. You had to cook yourself. And nobody really knew how. We were experimenting with bread and cakes and stuff like that. It was difficult to make the transition. And so when I left Chicago on my way to, you know, Africa, which I didn't go to Africa, I ended up going to Hawaii and coming back. And by the time I got to Hawaii, you know, without knowing it, I'm out here with all these macadamia nuts and pineapples and coconuts and mangoes and lychee. And, you know, I'm in a vegetarian heaven, you know, because it's just wild food. You know, you don't even have to go to the store. You know, at first I lived on Oahu, but when I went to the Big Island was what you would call more natural. It wasn't as developed as Waikiki and Oahu and Honolulu. The Big Island is called Hawaii. The island with the island on with a Waikiki and all that is called Oahu. So I moved to the Big Island of Hawaii, and there was plenty stuff. So that, transition went well, and I was able to keep it up all this time. So because it was a transition to whole foods, I really did not become an expert at stuff like sodium, sugar intake, because there was no sodium, there was no sugar intake. We're just eating vegetables. And so over the years, we would go to the health food stores and they would get like a non alcoholic beer, or they would make a bread. And the bread, it took many years for the bread to get as good as it is now. So it's been a process. The bread, there was no margarine. There was like two stores in Chicago that had margarine. A health food store on 95th, West 95th. I got to find their name so I could. And there was a health food store on the north side on Division called Sherwin's. And Sherwin's, they had this margarine called Willowbrook. Willowbrook margarine is the first margarine that I was actually able to get to be able to try to figure out how we could how are we going to be able to make our food? How would we eventually figure out how to bake cakes, make muffins, things like that? Because what's going to make it rise so it doesn't be so hard? You know. So there was a margarine called Willowbrook. Let me see if I can find them. Uh, I cannot find a picture of them. Isn't that amazing? No pictures of it. Wow. Isn't that crazy? That would have been great if I could have found that. No. I sure would have saved that picture for historical purpose. Huh? We're out of business. Yep. That was the only margarine that you could find back then. So it was a process to learn how to cook and stuff like that. But we was able to make it through it because, like I said, we're mostly surviving off of whole foods. And so as they began to, the potato chips was hard as bricks because, I worked at first. And so when I first went plant-based, I worked for a stock exchange. And then from the stock exchange, I worked for the U.S. Treasury Department. So imagine going to work and you're this new thing called a vegetarian. And what are you going to eat? And you know how they have like the little candy machine and stuff like that? So it's like I used to have to go and get like Planters peanuts and get them and then do this, you know, to rub all of the salt off of them because it's too much salt because we're on this health kick and we're not eating salt like that no more. And so the only thing I could get was Planters peanuts and Fritos, and you couldn't hardly get the salt off the Fritos. So it was sometimes you can end up with a headache because of the salt content. So it was a rough road. So as they began to make products this is how I got to begin to support all these different vegan and plant-based products, because I came from an era where there was none of that. So when they finally did get a decent soda, I bought it. When they finally did learn how to make potato chips with sea salt and no salt, I bought them. When they finally did make some bread that was done right, that was soft, we would buy it. And this is why I've been supporting uh, plant based vegan products. And still, I support them. I might not eat them regularly, but I always support a new plant based vegan product because that's what builds the culture. And so I remember when the Beyond Burger came out, that's why I bought it. And people's like, no, 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 don't buy it. No, yes, 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 buy it because that's a stepping stone. Okay? That's a stepping stone into building a better way for us to have a variety of food. So it's something I've been doing for many years, way before that. As a matter of fact, by the time I was 40 years old, I was living in O Block, Parkway Gardens, but better known as O Block. And you got Jewel's Food Stores was on Stony Island, and me and my wife, who was changing the way she eat, we would go to Jewel's because we had children, and I fed them regularly. I just didn't give them pork and beef, but they could eat chicken and fish and shrimps and all that because her children was already eating some way. And, I don't believe in forcing the children when they get old enough to make their own decisions. Because when I have little babies, I'm not forcing them because they don't know, right? So when I got a little baby, 2, 3 years old, I cut them up some strawberries and give them some natural corn flakes and strawberry. They don't know. They just going to eat it, right? So, I get them some watermelon, cut them up some apples. They happy as can be, right? So you don't have to, newborn babies, when they come, you don't have to force them to eat right because they care and they love fruit anyway. So you can get them fruit, you can get them natural stuff. They just gonna eat it. It's not till they start going to school and they get around other children. They're like, your daddy don't eat that, you eat hot dogs. And this is when they're gonna sneak and eat it anyway. So for me, this is when I take the limits off and, I just make sure they still don't have no artificial flavors and colors and stuff like that. So I still buy the best juice and stuff like that. So we would go up to Jewel's and have to get their food and get, my food and my wife's food. And I remember going and they would have like different products in the freezer, and they might have some plant-based meat or something in there, right? And they might have some ice cream. And then after a year or so, you go in there and they got more ice cream and more different meats and more ice cream and more different meats and more products. And one day I went and they had this stuff called silk soy milk, and I started buying that. And, we don't really want to push soy. By then, they were saying all kinds of stuff about soy. Next thing you know, they had almond, then they had cashew, then they had a different brand and a different brand and almond breeze and this one and this one and this one and this one. So this is how you build a culture. So I supported it, and it just grew. It just grew. And now you got Whole Foods. There was no Whole Foods. Now there's Whole Foods where you can go and get a lot of stuff. And it's a really great thing, right? Real talk. So look, let's take a break and then I'm going to finish this conversation. This is going to be a very great, very interesting conversation. Make sure you get the easiest way to become a vegan and start to clean it up.
Peace, health, and longevity. If you want to consume more plant-based foods, if you want to abstain from junk foods, if you want to consume fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and herbs, and avoid dead flesh, artificial flavors and colorings, sweeteners, anything that is unreal basically, purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan by Pharaoh Ramesses El Aton, who has been a vegan 40 plus years. He will take you step by step on how to abstain from the junk foods, how to abstain from the dead flesh, the chicken, the turkey, the pork, beef, and all sorts of animal products. Purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan, to eat more natural. Remember that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. Let food be your medicine and let medicine be your food. Consume of every fruit-bearing and herb-bearing tree. Unto you it shall be for meat. Purchase this particular manual, The Easiest Way to Become a Vegan by Pharaoh Ramesses El Aton. Peace, health, and longevity.
So yeah, eat to live, don't live to eat. And make sure you let all your loved ones and everybody know come to and subscribe to the channel, check out the channel. And I will be taking time giving a lot of historical backgrounds and stuff like that. But I've said all of that to build up to the point to what we're going to talk about tonight or this evening. So I see these different plant-based meats and products, and I would buy them and, cook them with my vegetables, right? So they would go along with whatever meal I'm cooking. If I'm cooking some collard greens or if I'm cooking some Brussels sprouts and this and that and that, I have a little plant-based meats to go with it. Maybe chop it up in my rice. I would use it to make a meal, like to create my meal when I want to expand. If I want to make some chili, I can cook the plant-based meat and then chop it up and have the beans and then chop up the chop meat and fry, saute it on the skillet so it's already done, and then throw it in there with the beans or with some couscous, you know what I mean? So, but then, I change up because I got to support the new product because I don't really do it. I don't eat these things all the time. So when people say, oh, the Beyond Burger, it's like nobody's going to eat that every day, bro. Stop. Nobody's going to eat it to the point it's going to damage your health. People don't like to eat the same thing every day, especially vegans. We like to change up. So that's a fake fear. You're not going to eat the same thing. You're not even going to eat the same vegetables. If you've been a vegan as long as I've been, you're going to constantly change the way you eat. Time changes what you eat. You're eating a lot of couscous this time. Next time you're eating a bunch of black beans, and you might be eating red beans. I mean, you're eating variety, but sometimes you're heavy on certain things. Also, where you move. So when I lived in Los Angeles, I ate different. When I lived in Hawaii, I ate one way. I lived in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, I ate a lot of Mexican food. Like fresh tortillas still steaming in the bag, jahote, because different plants and different stuff is available in different areas. So seasonal, you eat regional. And so I had this plant-based meat. I'm not going to say who they are. And I had bought it to experiment with it. It was all right. It was pretty good. But then I had one box of it in the freezer, and it was just in there. So I looked at my freezer one day and said, you know what, I need to cook this because it's going to go bad. So I made some food. I forgot what I made with it. I made some food. Let me see. What did I make with it? I think I made some noodles. I think I had these really nice noodles I made and some mushrooms and all that. And I think, what I'll usually do is I'll put my noodles in the water while they boil, and I'll take a skillet and I'll saute up like mushrooms and bell peppers and garlic and onion and have that already sauteed. Then I'll take my noodles and I'll strain all the water off of them, right? And then I'll get them as dry as possible. Then I'll dump them in the skillet on top of whatever I got sauteing, and I'll mix it up so it's like how you would make a spaghetti, but it's noodles. It'd be excellent. And I had used this plant-based meat because it had been in the freezer a long time. So I had some. I ate as much as I could. I think I did a live stream. I had a skillet of it, you know. I had a little bit still left in the skillet. It was on there. Before I went to sleep, I went and ate a couple spoons of it, put the skillet in the refrigerator. Boom, right? This is a crazy story. So I get up the next day, and I got this blood pressure machine. And I was always checking my blood pressure, but I haven't did it in, who knows, 9 months, a year. I'm all right. I'm 66. I don't have no high blood pressure. So I hey, let me check my blood pressure, right? This was this past weekend, I think, like Sunday or something. Yeah, Sunday. So, hey, y'all, I put the blood pressure machine on. I sit down and put it on. I don't do it right because we'll get to that. So I sit down, boom, put it on my arm, boom, take my blood pressure. This is this when it talks.
Attention, please. Please keep silent and relax.
So this one talks, right? So I take my blood pressure. Boom, my blood pressure come back. It says something like 189 over like 111 or something. I don't know what that is because, like I said, I don't get sick. So I know about blood pressure, right? But the thing says your blood pressure is high. Huh? I'm like, oh, this thing tripping. So I take it again. It's like 180 something. Then I take it again. It's like 191 over something. Every time I say high, so I start Googling, what is this high? So when I Google it, it says, you're going to die. No, it is. It says, when I Google it, it says, go to the hospital immediately. It says go to the hospital immediately. So I'm tripping, right? Because I'm like, come on, man. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Like, nah, So I'm tripping. And I kept taking it. And I called a friend. I'm like, that I know is a nurse. I called this nurse. I'm like, and then she's like, that's too high, right? So it got to like this number right here, in here, and 172, it kept going. I took a bunch of these, and this is one of them. So it was saying, your blood pressure is too high. My friend that's a nurse kept telling me, it's perfect is 80 over something. I ain't trying to remember all that stuff, right? So I took it. So then I took it one time, and it said 200 and something, right? So I said, you know what? I think this thing is broke, Maybe it fell on the floor a couple times. I said, you know what? This thing, I don't know. So I go down to CVS, and I get another blood pressure machine. I call the nurse back, and she say, what is it? What is going on with it? So I, boom, put it on. That blood pressure machine don't work. Right? Now, this is what's crazy. Before I go to CVS to get another blood pressure machine, because I'm thinking that was not working, I said, let me take the garbage out. So when I go to take the garbage out, the box with the plant-based meat was in there. I said, let me see what the sodium content is in this. This is a crazy story. So I look, and it says the sodium content, as you can see, is 570 milligrams per serving, 25% sodium. So I get mad because I'm saying, I don't know what I'm doing because I don't never pay no attention to this stuff. I just been plant-based all these years. I don't get sick, so what the hell? So I started tripping because I started tripping. I'm like 570 milligrams per serving, and I probably ate 3 servings. So I'm thinking, okay, that's 1,700 milligrams. So I'm thinking, that's crazy, man. That's 1,700 milligrams a serving, right? I started tripping out. Anyway, I go get to the other blood pressure machine, come back. It don't work. So I got to go back to CVS, get my money back. So the nurse is telling me, drink a lot of water, drink a lot of water, drink a lot of water. I say, I'm going to drink a lot of water. I'm going to stop at the store. There's a little market. I'm going to get one of these small watermelons. It's got the little white seeds in it, so it's seeded. It's just not, they're not fully developed seeds, but it's seeded, you know. So I get the watermelon, I eat the watermelon. I'm drinking water, I'm drinking water, I'm drinking water, I'm drinking water. And I go back and use this one again, and then it goes, your blood pressure is like 90 over something. And she said, okay, so it was all right, right? So I called another friend, and they said, you probably just sat down and took your blood pressure, Farrell. You can't just sit down and take your blood. An older sister, like I'm 60-something, she like 70-something. She's like, fool, you can't just sit down and take your blood pressure. That's why it was high like crazy like that. That thing couldn't read your blood pressure. You're supposed to sit down for 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, I just sat down and started taking it. So I took it 3 or 4 more times. It was perfect. The machine started saying it's perfect, perfect. I look on the internet and say, you perfect. I like, okay, cool. Because I was tripping. I said 200. I'm like, wait a minute. So I started blaming it on, I said it was probably that plant-based meat stuff with all that sodium in it, right? So all this time, I'm thinking, they bogus, you know, putting all that sodium in that food. So I'm finna come and tell y'all that they had too much sodium in there. But before I even do my lives, I always do my research. So I did my research, and I was like, well, how much sodium is advised, right? And so when I looked at how much was advised, it says Americans eat 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day. However, the Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends adults limit sodium intake to less than 2,300 milligrams. That's equal to about 1 teaspoon of table salt. So I'm like, okay, I'm tripping because I'm not even eating half of that. But the problem could have easily been that I had put some salt on my collard greens while they was boiling. I'll be using this salt right here. From what I've been told from my research, this is the best salt to get because it doesn't have any chemicals in it. They say some of the salt, because of the way they mining it, it's got metal and stuff in it. So I watch these experts all the time, and they says this is wet salt. So they listed one, and this was the best one, and the other one was the second best. So, you know, I went and got the best one. So this is what I was using. So it could have been that, but I doubt it. I think it was just me not knowing how to take my blood pressure, right? But I was like mad. I was like, man, I was like, because when I go get my, what got me riled up is if you look at the sodium content, what got me riled up is it said 25%. And I felt like 25% is a quarter of it. So out of this plant-based meat, a quarter of this is sodium. That I thinking that's too much. I still think a quarter, that's too much. You know, let us season it ourselves. You know, don't just sell this stuff pre-seasoned like that. And I got to do more research because when I go get like ketchup or mustard, I'm looking for a low sodium content, and I ain't never seen nothing that say 570 milligrams, and it usually say a little because I'm looking for something to say 4%, 2% in the ketchup, and this say 25%. So that's what threw me off, because this say 25%, and I'm like, well, I'm trying to get, when I get low sodium ketchup or mustard, because I got to find plant based too with other natural ingredients, right? And it don't be saying no 25%, because 25% is not low sodium. So that's another thing. Like when you go to the store, they don't have natural food low sodium. Not the barbecue sauce, the ketchup, or the mustard. I have to really search to find. Sometimes I find they don't have no salt, because I would rather have no salt, no sodium. I could put it on there myself. I don't need no sodium in my ketchup, man. If my ketchup is not enough, I could just put a little salt on the ketchup myself. I got to get a food processor and just make my own ketchup. I'm going to get a food processor. I'll come over here. I'll show y'all. I'm going to, in 2025, I'm going to make a whole change. I'm going to get an almond cow. I'm going to make my own milk. I'm going to make my own ketchup. I'm going to make my own mustard. I'm going to make my own barbecue sauce. I'm going to make my own stuff. Yeah. I got to get me a food processor. If I get a food processor, I can make my own patties. I could get some walnuts and make my own burgers. And because I'm on this workout tip that I turn up every year, in 2025, I'm finna go even harder. Now I'll be able to really control my protein intake. I'll be able to make me some super protein burgers, like crazy protein. I'll be able to really make me some high protein cereal, super high protein milk. I'll be able to crank my stuff up higher than what I could get in the store, because I got this little grinder, this coffee grinder. Let me see if I got it over here. I have this coffee grinder. Let me show it to you. Let me find it so I can show it to you. I have this coffee grinder, right? The little one. It's so nice. And it's cheap. And when I break it, I could just buy another one. Hamilton Beach. Hold on. I have this Hamilton Beach coffee grinder, right? It's the best ever in the whole world. Let me show y'all, peep gang. Welcome to Vegan Intel. Tell everybody to come over. This is where all this information will be from here on out. I'm separating all my information on separate channels so that people that's totally interested in one particular subject matter will be able to come and just get that. Right? So here goes the thing. Get you one of these for sure. Because I'm using this right now, but I'm going to the next level. But right now, this is what I use, because I'm This is what I use. I use this. Right? That's what I use. Now let me tell you what I do with it. Let me show you what I do with it. I'm going to find my products. Let me show you some of the products. I don't feel like looking for it. Let me just search it over here. I'll search for it later. I'm getting ready to make I'm gonna make all my own stuff, but right now I buy this for my workouts, right? So in order for my workouts to really do what I want them to do, right? I buy this right here, this product right here. But as of next year, I won't be buying it. I'll be making my own from scratch, right? But as of now, this is my go-to product. And I'm going to show you what I do for my workouts. It's working great. I've gotten super strong. I haven't been in the gym a lot this last things, but once you get so much in shape, the muscle just stays. And so like today I've been working out, so the muscle stays once you work out. So what I do is I'm gonna get an almond cow, make my own stuff. Because back in the day, when we made our own milk. I used to make my own milk, soak my almonds, blend them. But I buy this. And I buy this because it has 8 grams of protein per serving. And most plant-based milks only got 2, got 1, or whatever. So what I do is I take this, and I use this grinder, and I take this grinder and I put like hemp seeds in there, chia seeds, flax seeds, oats, and I'll blend it up into a powder, like my own powder. And then I'll take this and put it into a blender, pour some. Then I'll take the powder I make from this and dump it in there. Then I'll take also some scoops of some protein powder I got. Just got like 20 grams of plant protein. So I charge it up. I charge my milk up crazy myself. So I basically use this for a base, mixed with what I blend up here, along with some protein powder, or I'll put some lion's mane powder. I charge it up. And I blend it up and I make like a super protein chocolate drink of pumpkin seeds. Blend up the pumpkin seeds in there, right? To keep my testosterone up. And I put it in a blender and blend it up and make like a high power, because I'm getting 8 grams of protein with every serving. So I'm drinking like 3 servings. So that's like 24 grams. So I'll be boosting it up. 60, 70, 80, 100 something grams of protein. I take my multiple vitamins and drink that, right? It's been working too, straight up. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take it up another level, because I'm going to take the almond cow, So now with the almond cow, I'm able to put my pumpkin seeds and walnuts in there. I don't have to put them in here. So I'm going to get the almond cow and make my milk stronger than this milk. And then I'm still going to blend up this so it don't have to be done in the almond cow. And I'm going to take my milk out the almond cow, put my milk out the almond cow into a blender, and then boost it up because I boost it up. So maybe one day I'm using flax seeds and flax seeds. The next day I might be using chia seeds. And I change it up to make sure I get the most nutrition out of it. So I'm finna step my game up. I'm getting ready to eliminate this. I'm gonna be making milk that has more grams of protein in it than this. And I'm gonna be still making my own protein powder in this. And if I get a food processor, it's gonna be a wrap. And this allows me to keep my system open because I can drink instead of eating so much and being stuffed with all that eating. So I like to drink those protein shakes before I go in the gym and then eat. I don't like to eat when I wake up. I wake up, I drink some water, I drink a protein shake, and then hit the gym real quick. Then eat. It's been working too. That stuff be having me charged up. Take my multiple vitamins, my plant-based multiple vitamins, and I'll be on 1,000. And I'm 66. And I'm telling you, I'm feeling great. But I'm getting ready to eliminate them because I just gonna make my own stuff from scratch. Almond cow costs like $200 some. Cool. Once I get the almond cow, I'm gonna find somewhere where I can order, the best, who got the best nuts, like who has the best pecans. I'm gonna start ordering my nuts and stuff from these farms because there's a place called the Fudge Pop. It's a candy shop down around North Avenue. And they have these turtles, dark chocolate turtles. But the pecans is crazy. You can't find these pecans in the stores. I said, where you get these pecans from? They're like, we have our own farm. We have a specific farmer we order these from. So I'm going to do my research and find growers, and I'm going to get my stuff in bulk, the best, so that they, the best walnuts, the best pecans. See, I just make my own milk so that I can make sure that my protein drinks and stuff is up through the roof. But all of that, I just had that catastrophe thinking that my blood pressure was, but I didn't really believe it. I thought this machine was messed up. I didn't really believe it. Now, I wonder if I take my blood pressure here on live, if it'll work, because I don't think I've been calm enough. Watch, it's going to probably be high because I don't think I'm doing it right. But let's see, huh? If it's high, it's definitely because I ain't do it right. But hey, well, we'll see, right? No, this ain't going to work. I'm going to have to put it on top of my sleeve. It might not read on top of my sleeve good. I don't want this sleeve. This is getting tight up here, so I don't want this sleeve. I think this sleeve is going to affect it. Maybe not. What's this, y'all? Is it going to be high because I'm not doing it right and I'm talking? And yeah, it ain't going to be right, is it? Watch. But yeah, I took it a bunch of times, so it's right. Also, this thing has to be where your little finger is at. So this, okay. See, I got it upside down, see? This tube has to be lined up with your pinky finger. So let's see. It's going to be high probably because I ain't doing this right. I'm supposed to be quiet. I need to stop being a moron and get my life together. Okay. This is, let me take my rings off. This is probably going to be high. This ain't going to work, is it? We'll see. Okay, let me wait for a minute. This ain't going to work because I ain't doing it right. But we'll see. We are live. Here we go.
Attention, please. Please keep silent and relax. Keep the cuff at heart level. Start measurement now. Measurement over. Your systolic blood pressure is 140 millimeter of mercury.
Told you it wasn't going to work.
Diastolic blood pressure is 85 millimeter of mercury pillar. Your heart rate is 58 beats per minute. According to the World Health Organization standards, the measurement result is high.
See, it says high. I told you it wouldn't work. It say 140 over 85. Because I'm doing too much. You just got to be chilling. You can't be doing all this. And you got to be chilled out. So you got to be sitting here for 5 minutes. I can't be talking or doing nothing. But the other day it was saying 180, 170. Then it said 200. I said, it ain't no that. And so when I came back later, it was way down. Like right now, it really, my blood pressure is like probably 90 over whatever. It ain't no 140, but I'm just bogus. I shouldn't have did it like this. Because they told me I got to sit and be quiet like 5 minutes. That's what I was told. That you got to chill for like 5 minutes. So I'm not doing it right. I ain't going to be able to do it and get a good reading while I'm doing this talking and all this. But yeah, get you one and take your reading, right? Watch. Watch. Let's see if the number changed.
Attention, please. Please keep silent and relax. Keep the cuff at heart level. Start measurement now. Measurement over. Your systolic blood pressure is 132 millimeter of mercury pillar. Your diastolic blood pressure
It went down to 132.
75 millimeter of mercury pillar. Your heart rate is 57 beats per minute. According to the World Health Health Organization standards. The measurement result is normal. Thanks for using.
It said normal. See what I'm saying? And so it said normal this time. But if I sit still, it'll go down. It'll go down lower than that. First time she said high. Second time she said normal. It'll go down lower than this if I sit still and stop. It said what? 132 over 75. But if I sit still and stop talking, and also breathe, I be holding my breath when I push it. I don't breathe. For some reason, when I push it, I gotta make myself breathe. I don't know what that's about. And so when I push it, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, breathe." They said normal, but it's lower than that though. It's lower than that. But it said 200 the other day. It said 200. It said 190. It said 200. It was like, yeah, you dying, basically. It wasn't right, though, because I took it and it was all the way down to like 90. It was all the way down to 90, so it was a false alarm. Something I wasn't doing right. The nurses told me, so what'd you do? Pharaoh, did you just sit down and take it? They said, you can't do that. You have to sit down for 5 minutes. I said, oh. No, I just was running around. I sat down and took it. They said, with your feet straight on the floor? I was like, no, I had my legs crossed. They're like, you pitiful. Even now, it would have been lower. I had my legs crossed at first. Yeah. But when you take care of yourself, yeah, I know I'm all right. That's why I went and bought another one, because I'm thinking this thing broke. I ain't got no high blood pressure. From what? I don't eat hardly nothing. No salt or nothing like that. I don't eat no pork and all that. So this time it says normal, but it's lower than that if I just chill first and take it. Which is a good thing in my age of 66. A lot of people, they're not taking care of their blood pressure. They're not taking care of themselves. But you have to take care of yourself. You definitely should have one of these. You should have this, and you should check your blood pressure. Especially if you haven't been eating right and you're eating a bunch of Cheetos and corn, Fritos, and Planters, peanuts, all this stuff, man, got too much salt on it. Too much salt. Add your own salt. I'd rather add my own salt. Give me some peanuts with no salt. I could put my own little bit of salt in there and shake it up so that it'll be, they be doing too much. It'd be too much salt. I don't need that much salt. If I just get a little taste of salt, that's it. Why you got so much on here? They wasting salt and running up the price of what it takes them to make it, because look how much salt they wasted. They put enough salt on one item that they could put on 4 items. So that's a waste. They're going through 4 times the amount of salt. That's not necessary. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, high blood pressure is a serious problem. Very serious problem. High blood pressure, diabetes, all these things. These things is really not no type of joke at all. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you let all your family, friends, and family members come over to the channel. I could try to encourage them to eat better. And order the manual. Go to www.veganintel.com. Get the easiest way to become a vegan. And give them out during the holidays. Give them to your family. Especially if somebody mentioned they're not feeling well, put it in an envelope, though, so they don't know what it is. If auntie not feeling well, or grandpa not feeling well, or mom or dad, or your sister or brother or cousin, just put this in a little brown envelope, and after they get ready to leave, you say, here, when you get home, check this out. They're going to say, what is it? Don't tell them what it is. Don't tell them. So just check it out when you get home. Because a lot of times when you tell them what it is, they're going to put up a resistance. and you're trying to help them, so you want them to be surprised or take it out. The easiest way to become a vegan, oh, that boy done gave me this. But they might at least read through it, and if they read through it, they might say, I think I can do this. But a lot of times if you tell them, like, vegan, I ain't be no vegan. I need my meat. And so we definitely have a serious health problem in the community, and we have to do something about it to get our people in better shape. And it should be illegal for them to sell anything that will turn around and then tell us to watch out for it. I mean, to me, people say, well, Fred, we got the right to eat the way we want to eat. You do. But if the store's doing it, you're not exercising your right. In other words, don't put all that salt and sodium in the food. Let them, if they want to do it, then let them do it. But why should the government and the Food and Drug Administration, the Agriculture Department, the people run the stores, why should you do it? You know what I'm saying? Cut back on all them chips, on all that salt on those potato chips. And if I want some more salt, then let me go get a pack of salt and sprinkle it on there and shake it up myself. Let them do it. The store should not be doing it. Let me make it more salty if I want it salty. Well, I don't got nobody to blame but myself. But to have me go in the store and buy something and eat it and then go check my blood pressure and my blood pressure is too high, that seems to be a travesty. That seems to not be good governmental responsibility. The store should be like, no, we're not going to do that. If you want to kill yourself, then you do it. But we are not going to give you no high sodium or no high salt content or no high sugar content. We're not going to do it. We're going to cut this stuff back. Because look, if you got all of these diabetic clinics and all of these people with high blood pressure, that means the products aren't healthy. So that means the store is adding to your problem. The store should make you do it yourself. You know, when I was little, there was no Frosted Flakes. There was no Fruit Loops. There was Corn Flakes and Cheerios, and guess who had to put the sugar on it? You did. You had to put the sugar on there. If you want to overdo it. So my advice to you, especially if you're older, my advice, get you a food processor. Make your own ketchup, make your own everything, and then put it how the doctor told you. Because when the doctor puts you on, tell you got to cut back on your sodium, there ain't no store that's going to, you know what I'm saying? Because they already got Americans brainwashed, so they want it salty, they want it sweet. So when you go look on the shelf, they can't sell no salt ketchup because I'm the only person going to buy it. So I can't be mad at the store because they're not going to buy it. So we in the catch-22 because we've already tricked the citizens and messed their taste buds up where they think it's supposed to be salty. They think it's supposed to be that sweet when it don't have to be. Doesn't have to be. You can get some popcorn with a lot of salt on it. And I can get some popcorn and put just enough salt where you at least taste a little salt every time you eat it. And that popcorn going to be better than that extra salty popcorn. Still going to be salt on it, but it's not going to, because sometimes the salt takes away from the taste of the potato chips and the popcorn. You can't even taste the potato chips. All you tasting is salt. You can't even taste the popcorn. You just eating salt. I find that less salt, it tastes way better. Just enough salt so you just taste it a little bit. Just like any other spice. If I'm going to use turmeric, I don't dump a half a bottle of turmeric on there. I don't dump a half a bottle of garlic powder. I just put enough garlic powder to just give it a little. Come on, what are we doing? What are we doing? So my advice to you is get you a food processor. Not to mention, they're robbing us. They're overcharging us for this food. It's time, listen, it's time to go. This one is the one. This is the best one on the market. Baja Go. It's a wet salt. And this is the #1 salt to get. I watch salt comparisons, right? So they had all these salts up to the best one, and this was #1 in the salt contest, right? Baja Go. It's a wet salt. #2, I don't have it. I gave it to my daughter. I bought #1, I bought #2, and my daughter was talking about salt, and I said, look, I'm going to send you this other one, because I sent her the second best. It's a lot in here, too. It's a wet salt, and it's the best salt. Has no impurities in it, and that was one thing about the salt. You know, they were saying the pink Himalayan salt in them, because they're mining it in certain areas, it's getting the things you don't need from the mining is getting in there. I'm like, are you kidding? They said the salt is getting other stuff in it because the way they mining it, and there's other minerals, it's other like things where they're mining, and that's ending up in it. I said, oh, you have to work so hard to be healthy because everybody's just making a buck, basically. They're just going to make a buck off of you. And hey, it is what it is. But my thing is that the government should make sure that if you get sick, you did it on your own. They shouldn't assist you. If you eating too much sugar, it's because you put all that sugar on there. This is what they should do, because there's no way in the world that the money they're making from these health situations is balancing out with the money they're losing from all these sick people. It's not going to balance out. It's just not. It's not going to balance out. In the long run, it's going to be a loss in money, because there's nothing more valuable on this planet than human life. Because without human life, what good is any of this stuff? What good is a computer if it's not a human to use it? What good is a robot if it's not no humans? It's no good. It's worthless. There ain't even nobody can make the robot. So we are the most valuable thing on this planet. It is. I mean, there's such a big difference in the American grocery stores and in the other stores that it's a shame. You know what I'm saying? It's an absolute shame the way our products are being made compared to other countries and what's in their products. You know, our products, you know, I don't know what's going on with that. You know, I just don't. I mean, this is not necessary. You know, this is not necessary. It's not necessary to have all of that in there like that. You know, and you got other countries, you know, they're starting to ban this stuff. They're starting to add regulations. You know? It's ridiculous. Come on. You know what I mean? If you look at the food in America compared to the food in other places, it's like, come on, y'all. Are you serious? Look at that. Look at that. Look at the UK ingredients and look at our ingredients. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Let's be serious. Look at their ketchup and look at our ketchup. Just look. Look how red our ketchup is. Come on, man. What are we doing? Just look. This is criminal. Look. Now you tell me that's not ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous, okay? Well, you make one product for them and make another one for the American people. Like, seriously. You know, come on. Come on now. Come on, we gotta do better. You know, look at us. Look, you already know which ones is ours. The one got the whole 2 paragraphs. And you go to the store, it's a whole 2 paragraphs. It's 2 paragraphs. What are we doing? So look, y'all. Tell everybody to come over here. We're going to have some crazy health conversations over here all next year. We're going to cover all of the health days. You know, we're going to cover all of the things. We're going to try to help. We're going to try to have people come over here and talk about it. We're going to try to, I'm going to have people coming over here talking about cooking, right? What's going on, Quentin? So I'm going to have brothers and sisters coming over here talking about cooking and preparing food. I might have sisters actually in the kitchen and brothers in the kitchen cooking. I'm going to have some of the best health information over here in 2025. It's going to be fantastic. Trust me when I'm telling you. And let us all work to be in better shape, to take better care of ourselves, because your body deteriorates anyway with age. I'm 66, so if I don't charge my body up the best I can, and then I got to deal with the natural deterioration, if I got to do the natural deterioration along with me adding to it, then what happens is I end up with all these unnecessarily medical bills and unnecessary ailments that I could avoid when I reach older age, because I feel like I'm middle age. I don't believe you're old until you're in your 70s, somewhere in the 70s. So at middle age, which is like, because I feel like, okay, you're young. If you took 100 and you divided it by 3, Middle age would be 34 to 66, like right now. Then old would be 66 to 100. Basically, we don't have middle age no more. And I think because they say young and old, I think that psychologically is damaging to people because you're thinking young, old. So now they got you thinking at 40, 50 years you old. What happened to middle age? How is 50 old? If you live to be 95, how could 50 be old? How could you be old for 45 years? You can't be old for 45 years. Make it make some sense. So we got to bring middle age back. You don't just go from young to old. You go from young to middle age to old. Duh. But because this mentality is young to old, you're basically giving up at a very early age. You're not exercising. You ain't number 45, 46 years old. And look at these people passing away and look at the ages of them. The older ones that grew up eating a bunch of beans and black-eyed peas and stuff, their body's pretty much fortified. So even if they ain't taking care of themselves, they still go a long time. But the newer group that didn't come up, like my parents ate and they was more fortified than I was. I'm more fortified than my children because the food is deteriorating. The food is deteriorating. I think if we became more health conscious, then I think we would begin to work on the food. We'll be like, well, we want to be healthier. We're going to have to fix this food. We're going to have to strengthen this soil so that these watermelons and stuff, we're going to have to get these oranges back so it's not no big old peel with all this white stuff on the orange. I don't know what that is. It's like I wanted to make some lime drink. So I bought some limes. So when I squeeze the limes, no water come out, no juice come out. Just the pulp just shoots out, and I have to rake the pulp on the glass. And these limes is big like that. And then I got some little key limes, and I cut the key limes and squeeze them, and a whole bunch of juice come out. So I'm like, why is the smaller lime making a whole bunch of juice? And what's up with this big lime? So now I gotta always go to Whole Foods and always get key limes because the other limes, there's no juice in it. The juice is in the pulp and the pulp just shoot out, and now I gotta rake it on my jar to make my lime juice I'm like, what is this? I gotta buy just key limes because they juicy. I said, well, why the little lime got more juice than the big lime? What is that all about? And then it's like, because they're trying to ship so much food, they're freezing it or something. Because I bought 2 hard green avocados. And 2 days later, they was getting soft. They were soft. I said, ain't no way this avocado. I lived outside. I lived in Hawaii with avocado trees. So I lived with avocados grew. And when we pick an avocado and it's hard green, that avocado not going to be ripe for 4, 5 days, 6 days. But I went and got these hard avocados. And it's so bad that when I go to Whole Foods, you'll go in there sometime and they'll be like, you can get 3 avocados for $5. You know why? Because they all go ripe so much, they just have a big old table of overripe avocados. Now they throwing all them avocados away. Trust me. Man, I can only imagine how much food Whole Foods is throwing away. I'll tell you something else too. When I get my collard greens and stuff like that, as soon as I put it in the refrigerator, they start wilting. This is why in the store they spraying whatever they spraying on them. So I got tired of my stuff wilting. So I went and got some collard greens one day, and I got a bowl with water, and I sat them in the bowl of water and put them in the refrigerator, and they stayed. I said, okay, these is plants. Let me treat them like plants. I got to water these things. So now, when I get spinach and stuff like that, I put it in a bowl of water and put it in the refrigerator so it won't wilt, so it can keep drinking. Because I grew food, I grew plants. That's how I stop my stuff from wilting. It works too. Collard greens be in there 3, 4 days, 5 days, as long as it's in that water. But what I'm really doing is I'm just buying it and cooking it. So that's making it harder to be plant-based, to be a vegan, because the stuff don't last. So you got to go to the store every 2, 3 days. Who want to go to the store every 3 days? Because everything is wilted and going bad. America's throwing away how much food? So this is why regular people, they just eating out of boxes and cans and bags. They ain't eating the fruits and vegetables like they supposed to be. It's really sad. So look, y'all, like I said, get the easiest way to become a vegan. Get 3 copies, 4 copies, 5 copies, 10 copies. Give them to your relatives. If you're not eating right, get it. Follow this. If you want to eat right, this is the way to do it. Nice and slow. Because you have to learn how to cook. Your taste buds got to change. You got to learn how to shop different. You got to learn how to go to find different restaurants. Your whole palate has to change because your taste buds are shot. Because you've been eating so many artificial colorants, artificial flavors, and preservatives that it has affected your taste buds. And your body can't hardly fight any disease or sickness because your body's fighting the food, because the body thinking the food is disease or sickness, because your body's like, what is all this artificial stuff? You're not artificial. You're real, made by what they call God. So you can't put no artificial stuff in no real body. This is common sense. So, my daddy said, he would always say, you know what, boy? I said, what, Dad? If they knew better, they would do better. Eat right. Peace, victory, and go vegan.
Have you ever considered becoming a vegan but didn't know what steps to take? Or started the transition but wasn't able to finish the process? Well, you're in luck, because now you have the easiest way to become a vegan. A simple and clear guide to embracing a vegan lifestyle. For more information, please visit www.veganintel.com and get your guide today.